The Tenyi engine allows you to get a body on board and bounce one of your opponent's cards while going +1 in card economy. As with a single Vishuda from your hand, you're able to get a Link 1 monster on the field and return one of your opponent's monsters or spells or trap cards. And all of these effects happen in the hand or graveyard, so it completely dodges on-field negates like skill drain, and since it can target spell or trap cards, it's an out to floodgates for a turn. The normal ratios for the Tenyi engine is actually pretty small. Basically, it's just 2 to 3 Tenyi Spirit Vishudas and a single Monk of the Tenyi in the extra deck. So if you have the space to play an extra Link 1 monster in your extra deck, then you can pretty much afford to play the Tenyi engine. However, some restrictions and downsides to the Tenyi engine apply. The actual benefits of the engine are almost entirely going second, because Vishuda requires there to be a non-effect monster in the field in order to use its bounce effect. So you can use it as a material during your first turn, but chances are you're going to be using your non-effect Link monster for some other kind of combo to further your plays, and will no longer have a non-effect monster in the field in order to use Vishuda's effect in the graveyard during some other turn. In which case, it's basically just a regular monster that you can special summon from your hand if you control no monsters, which can be used as a going turn play. Because the usefulness of the engine is almost purely a going second one, that does actually kind of lower its overall usefulness, because there are so many really good going second powerful cards in the game. Whereas only being able to bounce one of your opponent's cards probably is not as useful as a Forbidden Droplet, Lightning Storm, Evenly Matched, Triple Tactics Talents, or Dark Ruler no more. However, one of the benefits it does have is granting you a free monster in the field while being able to bounce a choice card, all without using your normal summon. Most of the best engines in the game don't use your normal summon. Now, there are some other benefits you can gain with the Tenyi engine. It does allow you to play the Parallel Exceed engine more reliably, since the main combo requires you to get a Link 1 monster with a downward pointing arrow. You can easily proc the effect of Parallel Exceed to get a level 4 monster in the field, to go into a powerful rank 4 monster like Baguska, Abyss Dweller, or Tornado Dragon. Additionally, if you play Paleozoic Dynamiscus for whatever reason, occasionally it will special summon itself to the field to be a non-effect monster, which will allow Vishuda to be live more often than not, rather than only relying on Monk of the Tenyi. And if your deck for whatever reason does have more non-effect monsters you can play around with, it does also give you access to Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi, the archetype counter trap, which also has a floating effect in order to bring out the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, though that floating effect is not super useful, but it is always nice for it to have a floating effect nonetheless. There are other Tenyi cards you could play that are also beneficial, but they're not really worth talking about because they're kind of independent of the Vishuda engine. There's also Adhara, which is a level 1 tuner Tenyi, which can be used to get a free tuner on the field for Christian Halki Fireback's plays, or recycle Vishuda with its graveyard effect back to your hand. Although it's not necessary in the slightest to be played alongside the normal engine. And then there's also Ashuna, which can special summon a Tenyi monster from the deck with its graveyard effect. However, it also locks you out of summoning non-worm monsters for the rest of the turn, which is a bad enough downside where it's also not worth running, unless that downside doesn't really affect whatever deck you're playing the engine in which case it can be a good way to get Vishuda or Adhara out of the deck for extra deck plays, or alternatively, to get 2 tribute fodders on the field in order to tribute summon with only using a single card from your hand, since it only locks you out of special summons and doesn't use up your normal summon.